Hello, friends. It's your girl Anna Loves, and welcome back to Creepy Corner Storytime. So, today I am going to be talking about something that happened to a friend of mine at a house in Mesquite, Texas. Now, to tell you a little bit about this family, this house was only 2 bedrooms, and it was mom, dad, 2 daughters, and their older brother. And remember, this is a 2 bedroom house. So the way they had to divide things were a little bit complicated. So the mom and dad were going through a divorce. So the dad was sleeping in the living room. The brother was sleeping in the extra bedroom because he was older. And the mom and the 2 girls were sharing one room. And both of the daughters were saying that they were hearing something coming from the closet at night when they would go to bed. So first, it was the older of the 2 small girls. She was hearing what sounded like breathing coming from the closet. She heard it a couple of nights in a row and thought, you know what? Maybe I'm crazy. So she woke up her little sister and asked her if she heard it too. Little sister said she heard it too. So they woke up their mom and they told her about it. She didn't hear anything. But this continued night after night. The girls kept saying they could hear someone breathing in the closet. So they started leaving a light on in there. Still didn't stop the breathing. So this family, they had a connection with a man who was a curandero. Now, people from Hispanic culture know that this is kind of like a healer, a spiritual healer, or in other terms, like a witch doctor, but a good kind. So they had this man come in, and when he came, he brought his granddaughter with him. And she was said to have had the same special gifts that he had. She was very small. She was only about 10 years old. So they came into the house and they started walking through and they went straight for the lady's room with her daughters. They went straight to the closet, opened it and stared, looking in. His little granddaughter that he brought with him, she stood next to him, and all the hairs on her arms were standing straight up. So he went into the closet, looked around, came out, said, okay, I think we need to sit down and talk about this. So they went to the living room, and he said, it's the closet that you're hearing the breathing, right? She says, yes. He says, okay, well, I'm going to tell you why you're hearing that and what we can do to help it. She says, okay. So come to find out that in that house, a man had lived there that was extremely depressed and downtrodden. And he had hung himself in that closet. Now, the reason why they all of a sudden started hearing the breathing in there is because there's a saying that goes around that good and evil cannot exist in the same place without something bad happening. You can't put good and evil together. This is why even my grandfather would tell us, we were always like horror movie buffs. We like to watch horror movies. He would tell us, if you're going to watch a horror movie and you start talking about church or God, you better turn it off. Because if you don't, something bad is going to happen. Well, come to find out, this lady's husband was involved in watching spicy films, we'll say. And her daughters would pray a rosary every night. So between both of those things going on, this is what invited a bad spirit to come out. You know, I don't know if the guy that hung himself was necessarily bad, but it definitely wasn't a good experience. So this is why this was happening. The guy that came in, the curandero, he said that he could do a cleaning in the house to get rid of it. So she consented to it. He went in there and he did what he does, you know, they sage or whatnot, and got a broom and like swept through the house and outside. And after that, it stopped and never returned, never came back. Just thought that was an interesting story, and I wanted to see if you guys had heard of any of this, of any of that saying. You know, obviously we all heard, nothing good happens after midnight. I don't know if you'd ever heard that you shouldn't mix good and bad together. That's something that I've always grown up knowing. So I'd be happy to hear any stories that you guys have. If you guys have ever experienced something like this, then definitely leave it in the comments. Thank you so much. Goodbye.